What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Alphaville, and we're returning to Prostitute 1994. Once again, big shout out to Yun for providing the Alphaville material from the very beginning. And we're going to listen to a tune called Ain't It Strange, which is funny because I just did a reaction to a Cure track called A Strange Day, so it feels like this is a nice continuation. And even the album Pornography, followed by an album called Prostitute, it feels like there's a weird symmetry here. But yes, ain't it strange? It's the kind of expression you use when you're a bit flabbergasted, a bit bemused, and almost amused at the same time, where you can't believe what you're seeing or experiencing, but there's a bit of comedy to it. Now, that comedy could be of the if you don't laugh, you cry type of phenomenon, but it could just be more genuine surprise and amusement. But yeah, it's the thing you say when you're in a situation or experience that is not what you expected or is not something that could be predicted, but obviously you're still in an observational mode, meaning you're not enduring some suffering or agony. I suppose you could be, but still you would have to be able to make a comment or observation such that you would not be entirely distracted by whatever that negativity is. So yeah, it's an interesting phrase to provide an introduction to the tune, but there's still a lot left open or up in the air, so I'll see what I can catch on a first listen. This is Alphaville, the track is Ain't It Strange, and it's from their 1994 album Prostitute. Oh. Some funky sonics.
Smile when we cry, and no one knows why we are here, and where are we going to?
Okay, like an existential.
We could be so good together. We could be so good together. Strange that we share what we hate, that we break what we love, what we love. It's such a shame. Ain't it strange when we pray, we betray anyway, and no one knows what we're for while we're so tough. We're so fragile.
The dichotomies.
We could be so good together. We could be so good together. We could be so good together.
I heard my friend with the sax.
We could be so good together. Strange that we could fall into a dream. I wish no one would catch that fall, but we could fall for love. Life is but a dream.
Life is but a dream.
Life is but a dream.
Shaboom, shaboom.
All the tears in the world, not in vain. All the pain and stuff, the shame is washed away when we're alone.
It's hard to believe, after thousands of years, the world's still drowning in blood and tears. Quite advanced, but again we fail. It's dog eat stop on the rat race train. It's getting too much, and we get nowhere. My hatred and fear is all we share. I can take it
could be so good together. We could be so good together. I'm good together. We could be so good together. We could be so good together. I'm good together now. Nice.
Fascinating. And I have to say, people commented on this already when I went through the Breathtaking Blue, but like, this group is so sonically diverse. There's such a variety of songs, and I love Sounds Like a Melody. Maybe still, to this day, my favorite Alphaville song, and yet this is a million miles away from that sonically. So their diversity in terms of their musical stylings is remarkable. And at first, there was a moment where I wondered, there was a little sort of supporting vocal, almost like a sample, and I was like, is that a female, like, whispered voice? And then I was like, well, Marion can go very high in his vocals, and so I was still sort of waiting to see, but I think in the latter stages of the tune, it was definitely, like, female vocals too, right? Like, so, and I think even maybe more than one, because it felt like there was one that was sort of duetting with Marion, and then there was, like, a backing vocal which had slightly a different sound to it, so I don't quite know everything that's happening vocally, and I wouldn't put it past Marion to do some of those vocals that I thought were female in the moment, but yeah, I do feel like there was more than just him on this track vocally. Sonically fascinating. It had this early 90s, you could definitely feel the early 90s here, but it was like this mixture of a bit of funk, a bit of soul, still a bit of a pop tune, almost like trip hop in some moments, and then using, different instruments, including, like I said, my old friend, the saxophone, which really was a prominent element in, I'd say, the latter 2/3 of the track. It took a little while to come in, but once it did, it became a fixture of the tune and gave it that real soulfulness. The bass line, definitely very funky. It had that, again, early 90s hip-hop meets pop type of feel, so again, a bit of like a trip-hop feel. And yes, it feels like the song works on some different levels. It feels like there's some scenes being painted that could be taken more literally, and maybe about a relationship we could feel so good together and so on. But it seems also like it's talking about the human condition, maybe existentially, that like we don't really know what we're doing here on planet Earth. We don't really know where we're going, what happens when we die. Sometimes it feels like you could laugh and cry in equal measure, like it's, ain't it strange being alive and nothing's predictable and bad things happen to good people and good things can happen to bad people and no one really knows the rhyme or reason of it. And then it seemed to be making a case that, again, your lack of ability to process all this is part of what it means to be human, part of what it means to be here. So while we're here, maybe we could make that connection, maybe we can find some measure of enjoyment, even if none of it really seems to make sense. So it feels like it's operating on a philosophical level and perhaps an anthropological level, but also with parts that could be taken more directly and interpersonally, but even that feels like it's an extension of the philosophical points that it's making. I will note that in the first half of the tune in particular, Marion's vocals were almost like whispered and very quiet and not necessarily buried by the rest of the sonics, but I was sort of straining to catch them, even though I think I heard most of the lines, but they were more, subdued within the mix, and then he seemed to get more prominent and forceful as the tune went along, which again could be the idea of, you're born, you don't really know what's going on, you're raised, things don't quite make sense, and eventually you come into your own and you realize, well, if I am going to existentially take hold of my life, then I have to make my own meaning and make my own mark, and to put myself into this, even though it doesn't seem like there would be a place per se. So maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I think that's the measure of a good song, when there's enough there to get a sense for what they're doing, but still allow you to have your own cognitive dialogue with the tune. So another really good one. I'm really loving this album, so hopefully you are too. Let me know what you think of the tune, and I will see you next time. Peace.